project, and this is a project special relevant in these days for three main reasons. The first is the main topic of the project is to help secondary and professional schools to set up their international offices to deal with their internationalization strategies. Nowadays, and I think in the next future, internationalization strategies will be at the core of all the education institutions, not only higher education institutions, but more and more secondary and basic schools. So these projects provides some tools, and one thing is very relevant: there are customized tools to help the schools to design and to implement their internationalization strategies. The second issue is related with the times itself, the self. We are facing a huge challenge relating with internationalization. We are used to deal with internationalization, especially with mobility, and more we have to find new ways of dealing with internationalization, namely virtual internationalization, internationalization at home, and other types of internationalization. So these times are, besides the pandemics, are good times for us to reflect in a strategic way how to deal with internationalization, how to involve all the publics, especially those with more social and economic difficulties, to be active members of internationalization.
In school, we the first of all, our project partners, the ones that the consortium of the project is made by two higher education institutions. Ours, that coordinates the project, Polytechnic Institute of Setúbal. Also, the Faculty of the Education from University of Olomouc in the Czech Republic, and two schools that did all the work and testing the tools that we were developing through the project. So a Portuguese school, the Agrupamento de Escolas José Saramago, and the Italian school. And I ask forgiveness for my Italian, and I'm sure that Silvia later on will say it in the correct way, but it's the Istituto Superiore Giancarlo allow the creation, well, to provide a framework for international offices in school, both for students and teachers throughout Europe. And ideally, this framework will end up working as a network of international offices. And these offices make it possible, capacitate are a way of getting education for global citizenship, informal education. That means in overview of the project, it's a summary of what we'll look at during the conference today. We developed 4 intellectual outputs, curricular analysis and comparison, and that will be shown just after me by our colleagues from the UPOL University, and also the Intus web-based platform, which I have the link there, but we provided also in the end of the conference, where we have all our products, and that is also the tool to help the management of the international offices, but we'll do a presentation of it also today. The pilot school activities ebook will also launch it today, and part of it will be shown by Silvia. So it's a fine description of what was done by the schools in developing all this process of getting an international office, of developing a mobility project, and so on. And also the user guide for international office and school implementation. So a guide that will facilitate the implementation of the international.
Everyone, the topic of your project, I have been working in this, I think, for 15, 20 years. So I think that I know a little bit what you try to realize. My experience is and was that the headmaster plays a very important role in having success in a school, secondary school or primary school, to implement the European work. So it's not only the teacher who is very enthusiastic about Europe, and when this person leaves the school, that it disappears. But I think the most important thing is that the school director has to make real policy for European work, and when he or she leaves the school, that it still stays part of the policy of that school. So I was wondering if you have some advice in your end report about this, the role of the teacher, the role of the director, and also the fact that if you want to do something with Europe, you have to think out of the box. It's not a normal thing in the law or in the way of working in schools. It's also a little bit entrepreneurial spirit of school to do some European work. So I'm very curious how the end report will be and if there are advices I can use in my own work. Thank you.
The name of our presentation is Comparative Curricula Tool, a guideline for teachers to start international cooperation. I will just briefly say again the name of our institution. It's Palacký University in Olomouc, namely faculty. So that was the summary of the comparison that we did in terms of the INTOS project. And by doing this analysis, we were able to start constructing the comparative curricula tool for the teachers and schools in order to analyze their own documents, find the partners, and start the process of international cooperation. The comparative curricula tool helps the teachers or the school to prepare and realize the process of the internationalization. We decided to include particular steps from the first to the last on how to start such a cooperation. Sorry, I will just go back. The first is creating a strategy for the partners in the international cooperation. You need to know the length, its goals, which activities you'd like to include, what is going to be the target group. And also the second step is setting the working team, which teachers will be involved, which parents, students, entrepreneurs, globally or locally within your area. The third is that the collaboration between the schools is possible within the following. The first one is thematic fields, then cross-curricular topics or environmental education, ethics, ICT, European citizenship.
So I'll try to be clear and brief. So we are talking about the implementation of international offices in school. It might sound elementary, but it is not that immediate, I would say. So let's go immediately to the core of the question. So just give me 1 second, I have to minimize something. Right. So the implementation of international offices in school. Was it for and why? You will see how to organize this kind of office and what we mean with office. So those are the steps we're going to take. So we will see the international development policy, so the objectives of an international office, the structure, and the role of the international coordinator, which is really crucial. The management of an international office in terms of resources, tasks, budget, and financing, and then we will have an activity plan, of course. So why? Well, why an international office? So it is a part of European schools that develops and participates in international and European projects as part of programs such as Erasmus Social Fund, Erasmus Plus, and etc. There are also some more programs. However, this is not always a formal, structured, and organized office for the development of these projects. So what does it mean? It means that sometimes you start, but you need to be a little bit better organized in order to acquire, in order to get the best out of those possibilities that we can have. So the existence of an international office can provide schools with a more effective participation and with better results, from the definition of guidelines through applications to the completion of projects. So a structured body facilitates all the steps in a school. So an educational project passes through a strategic development plan for internationalization, and then, only then, you can go to come to an international office international office. The first one is to encourage, facilitate, help, and promote the internationalization of the school. We are living in a world which is constantly globalizing. So we cannot only refer to the territory around us. Of course, we have roots. We cannot forget who we are, where we come from. But there should be a place we want to go. So in order to enlarge the possibility for our territory to gain the best, to get the best out of European projects, we have to think European. We have to look far, let's say. So we promote inclusion, cooperation, social, digital, and linguistic skills. All this is jointed. So it means that those projects keep an eye on all the differences between people, and they make those differences, let's say, either disappear in the sense that everybody is welcome, but also you can be who you really are, with your differences, with your peculiarities, and you're welcome because of that. Digital, because you can imagine that digital tools are used constantly, and of course the linguistic skills. Well, I think this is really, really, really interesting in the sense that English is a passport. Here we go, students' mobility. So in this project, we have arranged a very, very nice mobility. This was the core of the project for my students and pupils in Portugal, and this was an experience, I must say. Okay, we had two schools. So we have Agrupamento de Escolas José Saramago. Is it correct? I hope. Anyway, and Istituto Superiore Giancarlo Vallauri. Those are two different schools with different people, but you will see, we have done many, many, many things together. So those are the places. We are going from here, actually, Susan is here, and we have Suitable. So it was a long journey, but it was a nice experience. Let me tell you something more about this. So the mobility goals. Why mobility? Why did we need mobility? First of all, we need to identify common points in the curricula of the two countries within the scope of STEM through the general tool comparative curriculum analysis. So it means that first we tried to compare and contrast the two kinds of curricula that we had, and find the kind of activities that could be done in order to, let's say, to make students acquire a better knowledge of STEM. We wanted them to collaborate on certain common aspects of knowledge. So, of course, the goal was to test existing processes and new proposals for the implementation of international offices in schools, test the processes and phases of mobility, selection of themes and activities, so selection of students and classes, virtual exchange, travel preparation, and partner school reception. So all those very important activities were done. And then we had two mobilities were held in two countries, Italy and Portugal. So the first happened in Italy, and then we went to Portugal. There we go. So there you have, when you want to plan a mobility, this is a sort of, let's say, a list of a to-do list in order to get the best out of a mobility. So first you have to look for a partner, just like Lourdes. Is that, I hope I have pronounced it correctly. And you have several ways to do that. One of those ways is to use our platform. Find the main idea of the project. Why here? Because you have to have a partner, and you have to have common points, and you have to decide what aspects might be interesting to be developed. And so then you can think about the main idea of the project. Then you have to find financing. And just like Miguel has said, this money can be provided by the European Union or sometimes by so for José Saramago, provided the first mobility of students in partnership with another school. So that was the first time they have experienced what it means to be abroad. And this was true also for some students of mine, quite a lot of them. Provided students with the first international experience. I don't know whether you have an idea what it means. Well, yes, you do. But I mean, put yourselves in the shoes of somebody who has never gone out of his town, not country, town. I have met students who have never gone to Turin, and it is 60 kilometers from where we live. 60 kilometers by train, it takes 1 hour. So imagine what it means to go away to visit a different place, to be hosted by strangers. And I mean this in the nicest possible way. I'm not saying strangers are evil. I'm just saying that you feel uncomfortable. And I know my students, they are very shy, reserved. So this was an experience to them. So Istituto Vallauri, we had the opportunity to set up an international office, just like I was saying before, thanks to this project. Everything we have created is thanks to this project again. And then we had the mobility with students, which was something really, the experience itself was to me much more revealing, much more teaching, much more enriching than all the activities. Also, all the activities were absolutely fine. But all in all, what I think that we'll remember is meeting, having had this kind of experience. And for INTER's project, which is the project, so it was possible to test the comparative curriculum analysis tool, really important, and conducting a mobility project between schools and students based on STEM. So,
hello, good afternoon to everyone. I am going to show you how this project page or site or portal, as you like, is designed and how it works. First, everyone starts coming here to this first page with all information about what this project all about. The INTES project, international offices, international projects, and if you want to, you can create an account. But I'm going to start to show you this regarding a login as a coordinator. As you already may have noticed, you can start by creating an account if you are a teacher, or if you are a coordinator of a mobility school project. So the idea will be you can start by both possibilities. I will show you if you start with first with creating an account as a professor. You start in the name, the email, the password, and if you are not a coordinator, you may not pick this. The next step will be you start having more information and getting more information about to start as a coordinator. And when you log in, you will obtain this dashboard, and this dashboard will give you information regarding the events that you have. For example, that's our event today. The campaigns, and I'll talk to you about the campaigns a little bit later on. Your projects and the projects that you are involved with, and the activities that you have regarding the projects that you are